Hey y'all, it's Crystal here from ChristaCoDesign. Today we're working on this cable knit mug cozy. You can make it in the round to slide it on to your coffee cup. You can also knit it flat and seam it together, or add a button loop to put it around a mug with a handle. I'll show you all three ways here in this video. For each sleeve cozy, you'll need about 35 yards of crochet dishi, a number 4 medium worsted weight yarn. It's 100% cotton. The shade here is butterscotch. The lighter yellow on the mug is creme brulee. The 1-inch button is optional if you're going to add the loop for the handled mug. I'm using 4.5mm US size 7, 32-inch or longer circular needles for magic loop if you're working in the round. Your stitch multiple for this pattern flat is 4 plus 2 more. To work it in the round, it's a stitch multiple of 4. You also need yarn needle, measuring tape, scissors, and a stitch marker. To knit this flat, you can cast on 42. To knit this in the round, cast on 40. I'll start with a slip knot on my needle. I'm going to use the German Twisted cast on here. This is my yarn tail, and this part is connected to my yarn ball. You can use any cast on you're comfortable with for this pattern, but I'll link up the tutorial for the German Twisted in the description. If you'd like to modify the size of your cup cozy to make a larger or smaller one, you'll want to cast on a stitch multiple of 4. If you're working in the round, it's just 4. If you're working it flat, you'll add 2. Once you've cast on your stitches, if you're working this flat, you'll continue working in rows. If you are working this in the round, you'll need to do magic loop. So we're going to set that up next, and I'll link up a tutorial for that as well. Okay, so to set up for magic loop, we're going to slide our stitches to the center of our circular cable needles. And you'll find about halfway, or you can count off half. I'm going to go ahead and count so I can make sure I have an even number on both sides. And then you'll pull out that piece of cable through there. Make sure not to let your stitches twist here. I'll make sure they're all lined up, and then I'm going to hold on to the cable, not letting go. Sliding my needles into position there. And then we are ready to pull out our needles. We're going to flip it over so that our working yarn is coming from the right needle, and we're going to have our left hand needle closest to us. It's my yarn tail. So I'm pulling out the needle that I have the working yarn coming from on my right so that I can use it. And now I'm ready to knit. And as soon as I knit this first stitch on my left needle, I will join my work in the round. So that will all happen at the same time. For round 1, I'm going to purl the first 2. So I'm bringing the yarn in the front, working my purl stitch, sliding that off, working a second purl. I'm going to go ahead and put my stitch marker here after the first 2 stitches because my next 2 are 2 knits. And that way it just helps me identify which part of the round is the beginning. So my repeat around is purl 2, knit 2. And for this first round, I will show you how I navigate the magic loop change here at the center. Again, I'll have a full tutorial on magic loop linked up for you in the description as well. Okay, here I am at the center of my magic loop, so I'm just going to drop that needle and I'm resetting, so I'm just pulling it back through so that I can have it on my needle, the stitches on my needle. Just going to get them untwisted here. And then your working yarn is coming from the right hand needle. So that's the one you're going to pull out to knit with. And you'll keep going around. Here I'm at the middle of my row, my stitch marker or my yarn tail at the other end lets me know that. And I'm just continuing my pattern, purl 2, knit 2 all the way around. And then we'll work on round 2. Here we are at the end of the row, the round, so we drop that needle, turn it around and slide that needle back into the stitches. Figure out my yarn tail and my working yarn. There we go, pulling out my right needle, which will be the one with my working yarn attached. And I'm really at the beginning of my round. Remember, I put my stitch marker after the first 2, and that's so that my magic loop method doesn't pop it off every time. So round 2 is the same as round 1, purl 2, knit 2. So now we're purling in the purls and knitting in the knits. When I come to my stitch marker, I'll just slide that over onto my right needle and keep working. 2 knits, purl 2, knit 2 all the way around. Okay, here I am at the end of round 2, and I've worked 2 rounds of purl 2, knit 2 ribbing. Going to set back up to start round 3 here. Okay, round 3, we'll start with 2 purls. Now we're going to cable 2 back. So I'll skip the first stitch and I'll work into the front leg only of the second by knitting it. Then I'll knit the stitch I skipped. And slide both of those off, and that's my cable 2 back. Here I'm cabling without a cable needle. Purl 2, and then I'll repeat that. Cable 2 back, skip the first one, knit into the front leg of the second one, and then knit the first stitch you skipped. And that's your repeat around. Purl 2, cable 2 back. Okay, for rounds 4, 5, and 6, we're going to repeat round 1 where we purl 2, knit 2 all the way around. So make 3 rounds of purl 2, knit 2, and then we'll go on to round 7. You can see here are twisted cable stitches from our cable 2 back. Okay, now we're ready for round 7. We'll start with purl 2, and then we're going to cable 2 front, which will twist our stitches the opposite way from our cable 2 back. And just like with our other one, we will work this without a cable needle. So we're going to skip the first stitch on our needle, and we're going to work through the back loop on the second stitch, and we're going to knit it. So skip the first one, go into that back leg, knit it, then bring your needle into the front and knit the first stitch that you skipped and slide them both off. And you can see it pulls to the left there. Now we'll repeat that around, purl 2, Skip the first, knit the second through the back leg, come around to the front to knit that first stitch you skipped, and that's cable 2 front. I'll link that tutorial up for you as well. And keep repeating that around for this row, round 7. You can see here how our little small cables are working up quite nicely. Now for round 8, we're going to work the same as round 1, purl 2, knit 2 all the way around. And now we'll repeat rounds 1 through 8 2 more times until your cozy sleeve is about 4 inches tall. So you'll be repeating those 8 rounds 2 more times. Okay, I've completed all of my rounds and I am ready to bind off my cup cozy. And I'm just going to use a regular bind off here, but I'm binding off in patterns. So normally I would start with 2 purls. So I'll purl 1, purl the second one, and then bind off by pulling the first stitch over the second. And I pull up a little bit on that stitch there to make sure I'm not binding off too tightly. Then I would have 2 knits. So I knit 1, pull over the first one to bind off, knit the second one, bind off, back to purling, bind off, purling again. So you're doing the purl 2, knit 2 pattern and binding off as you go all the way around. I've bound off my last stitch, so I'm just pulling up a long loop, cutting my yarn, and I can weave in my ends. And my cup cozy is all ready. I use my tapestry needle and the long tail I left to weave in my ends, just following along the edge of the stitches here and following the stitch pattern. So I'll weave it together here, but not too tightly as we want it to be a little bit stretchy. And then I'll weave it down following the stitches along the ribbing pattern. Finish those off camera, just tuck them in here, and then I will slide my mug in so we can see how it looks all finished and on your coffee cup. Okay, for those who only knit flat, to knit this pattern flat, you'll want to cast on 42 or a stitch multiple of 4 plus 2 more. For row 1, you're going to purl the first 2 stitches. And knit the next 2 stitches. And purl the next 2. And then that's your repeat across. Knit 2, purl 2 to the end of the row. Okay, I'm just finishing up row 1 here, ending with 2 pearls. And then I'm going to turn my work, knitting flat. I'm on row 2, so now I'm going to start with a knit 2. Then purl 2 and knit 2, and that will be my repeat across for row 2, purl 2, knit 2 to the end. Now we're on row 3, and I'll start with purl 2, and then we're going to cable 2 back. So I'll skip the first stitch and work into the front leg of the next stitch. We're going to knit it, then we'll knit the skipped stitch and slide those both off the needle. Now we'll purl the next 2, and then that's your repeat across, cable 2 back, purl 2. Here we are knitting row 4, which is a repeat of row 2, knit the first 2, purl 2, knit 2, repeat that across. For row 5, we're going to repeat row 1. We'll start with purl 2, then our repeat across will be knit 2, purl 2. For row 6, we're repeating row 2. We'll start with a knit 2, then our repeat across is purl 2, knit 2. Okay, at row 7, we'll start with 2 pearls. Then we're going to cable 2 forward. So we're going to skip our first stitch, and we're going to work through the back loop on the second stitch. We're going to knit it, and then we'll knit the first stitch we skipped, slide them both off onto the right hand needle. Now we'll purl 2, and then we'll cable 2 forward again, skip the first, knit the second one through the back loop, come around to the front, knit the first one and slide them off, purl the next 2, and that's our repeat across, cable 2 forward, purl 2. Okay, for row 8, we are repeating row 2, so we'll knit the first 2, then we'll repeat across, purl 2, knit 2. Okay, if you are knitting this to seam it up into a cup sleeve, you'll repeat rows 1 through 8 2 more times, and then we'll bind off and sew it together. If you are knitting this for a mug with a handle, then I recommend repeating rows 1 through 8 one more time, then repeat rows 1 through 4 one more time. Then we'll bind off, and I'll show you how to sew a button on one end and how to add a button loop. Okay, I'm ready to bind off, so I'm just going to bind off in pattern. So I will purl the first two and then pull the first stitch over the second to bind off. I might pull up the second stitch a little bit when I bind off so that it's not too tight. Knit two, or knit one, and then bind off, and knit the second one, bind off, so on and so forth across the row. Okay, now we're ready to seam, and we're going to use the mattress stitch. So we're going between, under the bar that's between the last stitch and the second stitch. We're just going to catch that bar, and we're going to go from one end to the opposite. So I'll thread my yarn needle either with the long tail if you left one, or a matching color of yarn. And then we'll fold our piece in half so that we're looking at the right side. So we want to work on the right side when we're seaming mattress stitch. Just go under the bottom there. Now we're going to go over to the opposite side, and we're going to catch that bar that's between the first stitch and the second one. Right there, and go under that, pull through, switch back to the other side, in between, go under that bar. You can pull it tight, and then we'll keep repeating that. Back to the other side, come back on this side, oops, go through there. Just back and forth all the way up. Okay, just finishing up here, so we're going to weave away this end following the stitch pattern up here along the edge. And then we'll weave away the other end, and this cup sleeve is ready to go. Last up, I will show you the variation, which includes a button loop for a handled mug. Okay, to add a button, I'm using about an inch wide button here, a length of matching yarn, and a wide-eyed tapestry needle. You can use regular sewing thread if your buttonholes are too small for your tapestry needle. Just find where I want to place it here, and coming from the back I will sew it into place. Cut my yarn, you can tie a little knot since it's on the inside, or just weave away your ends really well. Right here I'm going to do a locking stitch where I go around the same stitch and leave that tail for weaving in, so that holds it in place. I want to put the button in a little bit from the edge. I don't want it right on the edge because it will pull on the edge funny. And then you just weave in your end back here. You can tie it in a knot with the other one. I'm just going to quickly tie a loose knot, and I'll continue weaving those in later. To add my loop to go around my button, I'm just going to pick up a stitch here on the opposite edge from my button. Make sure to leave a tail on the other side, and you just wrap the yarn over the needle and pull it up through. It can be a little bit tricky. There we go. And then we're going to use the knitted cast on to cast on enough stitches to wrap around my button loop. To wrap around my button and to attach back on. So I just insert my right needle, knit it, pull it up, slide it onto the left needle. Insert my needle, knit it, pull it up, slide it onto my left needle. Just keep doing that. You need about 4 to 5 inches for this sizing for a normal size mug. If you have a very large mug or a tinier mug, you'll need to adjust for that. So we're going to cast on and then we're going to bind off. Here I'm going to cast on 22 stitches, which will give me 4.5, 5 inches of length to create a loop. Okay, once you have enough length to loop around your button and to fit your mug, again, I cast on 22, we're just going to bind off back toward your edge. So I'll knit the first 2, pull that first one over the second one to bind it off, and just continue that all the way down. Okay, and once you bind off that last one, you just pull through the loop and cut the yarn. Now I'm just going to loop this length around and sew it down. I'm going to use the tails I have from starting it to do that. So I'm going to stitch the end that's attached down nicely and weave that tail over to the left a couple of stitches so that I can secure it. You can tie a knot here or you can just weave those ends away securely. And that's how you add the button loop. So now you can wrap it around your favorite handled mug as well.